Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Grow. Uh, Due to certain changes in the mutual fund way the mutual fund transactions have been processed since the 1st of July, and a few of our users have had multiple concerns around how their transactions have been processed. We thought we'd address this audience and tell you what changes have happened, what is new, and what impact our users will be facing. So, we're here today to explain what has changed, and we hope to address all your queries and take some questions after we do the explanation. My name is Santosh Jairam, and this is Sunil Bisa.
Hi.
Uh, and I'll explain what has changed after the 1st of July. This is actually a new circular that was issued by SEBI, and the main idea is to ensure that people's money are safe, right, while transacting in mutual funds. So earlier, what used to happen, and I'll share my screen at this point. So what used to happen earlier is when a user comes to the Grow app and places a mutual fund order, the user pays from their bank account for that order, or in a case where the user has money already lying in the Grow balance, then users were allowed to use that money to purchase any mutual fund, right? Now, when this order is placed, Grow in turn places this order with the BSE, the Bombay Stock Exchange, and BSE in turn places the order with the asset management company. Asset management company is the company that runs the mutual fund, right? Now, in this flow, the orders are flowing from Grow to BSC to the AMC, and the money that the user has transferred comes to Grow, or in case that the money is already available in the Grow balance, the money is available with Grow, which Grow transfers to BSC. BSC has a clearing house which is called ICCL. They take all the money and they further pass it on to the asset management company. Now, once this money is moved to the asset management company, the units are allotted and the confirmation is sent back via BSC to Grow, and people are able to see their portfolios updated on the Grow app, right? Now, with all the brokers, this money was flowing via the broker to the exchange and then downstream to the asset management company. Now, in order to make this transfer not go through so many hops, and also to reduce, the dependency of multiple parties where money is kept, the SEBI circular came up with an idea where the money would move directly from the user to the Bombay Stock Exchange Clearing Corporation. Right? So the BSC Clearing Corporation is where the money directly starts going to. Now, this is the new process where the order is placed on Grow, but when you pay for the order, the money goes from your bank account to BSC and thereon to the asset management company. So it avoids one hop of keeping money with Grow or transferring money to Grow, and directly transfers this so that transfers are also faster. I think some of you would have noticed that these days, after the 1st of July, SIP amounts are being debited on the date of the SIP itself and not even like a day in advance,
True.
because the hops have reduced. Things have become more optimized where the money gets debited from your account, goes directly to the clearing corporation, and goes to the AMC, and the units are allotted. Now, this is what has changed, right? Now, what we can talk about from a user perspective is, because our teams have tried really hard to not make users notice any of these changes, because everything has happened in the background in such a way that even today, for users on Grow, the way of placing an order has not changed. Apart from one small difference, which is earlier you were able to sell your stocks and the money that came from stocks was easily usable for mutual funds. Or if you were selling your mutual funds, you could get that money in the Grow balance and use that to further buy some mutual funds. That is the only thing that is no longer allowed. So you have to now transfer money directly from your bank account for every purchase that you need to make, that you want to make, right? So now that's primarily the change from a purchase standpoint. From an SIP standpoint, right? Uh, all the users who had started SIPs in the past and their transactions were getting debited directly from their bank account using autopay, those are continuing just as they were, right? Nothing has changed there. Money still gets deducted from your bank account and moves to BSC and the AMC, and the units get allotted to you, right? Only there were some users who were not giving us autopay and they were used to transferring money to the Groww balance and maintaining it there so that on the date of the SIP, the money would get debited from there. Now, that is no longer possible. So, the easiest way for someone to run their SIPs on a monthly basis would be to set up an autopay, or we have introduced another functionality where on the app you can actually make a payment for a particular installment. Just in case the money hasn't gotten debited from your bank account, you can actually come to the app and make a payment for that particular SIP order from the mutual fund dashboard. So at this point, I'll stop sharing. And based on a few of the questions that have come to us, Sunil has probably put together some questions, and
Yeah,
we'd like to
we're
take.
getting a lot of questions, so thanks for that. So Santosh, there is a very common question, which is that why is there a delay in unit allocation? So if you can explain what exactly is the reason, and we can.
Okay. So until before 1st of July, right, all the money, because it used to come to Groww, the Groww teams were ensuring that for every order that we place with BSC, the money has been received. So it was our responsibility to ensure that people's money that have come to us, we confirm to BSC that the money is available, and they would simply take the money from the Groww account and pass it on to the AMC. They were not doing any activity at their end to match all the money with the orders or any of that in the past, right? After the 1st of July, since the entire responsibility has moved out of the brokers and gone to the exchanges, now, and because this is a completely new process for them, right? So and a lot of transactions, when they started coming to their bank accounts, and they were responsible for now matching these payments with the orders that are uh, processable for any particular day. And this matching is where there were some areas where they were struggling, and some issues were faced, due to which all of this delay has happened. But if you look at it in the last few days, already things have been streamlined, and most of the recent transactions are going through pretty smoothly. The hiccups were mainly during the beginning of the circular going live on the first week of July. And most of what is pending now, also from a refund perspective, is actually from those transactions, which they're working day and night to sort out. And we're expecting that to get resolved very soon now.
Got it. So this brings to the second question that you also covered partially right now, which is that when would the users start receiving their refunds? That's one of the questions that we're getting.
So I believe some of the refunds have started getting processed already. So firstly, let me assure that most of the transactions that have been placed uh, by users on the Grow platform have been allotted. This cases that have been identified for refund are a very small percentage, and these transactions are primarily from the first week of July, and the refunds have started getting processed. We're expecting that in the next 1 or 2 working days, all the remaining refunds should also go through to the users.
Got it. So this brings to the another question that how the SIP process is going to change now. So new SIPs which come, which people are going to subscribe to, and the old existing SIPs that the investors have, what is the change going to be like?
So, from a user perspective, nothing changes. If you have placed an SIP order and you have already set up an auto pay, then the money will keep getting debited from your account. Only thing is, instead of coming to Grow, the money will go directly to the BSC clearinghouse. Uh, there is one thing, as in, if you are a user who's setting up a mandate, setting up an auto pay, then the name there shows as ICCL, Indian Clearing Corporation, which is actually the BSC name. So, in case you don't see a Grow name there, don't get confused. ICCL is actually the right name. It is the BSC clearing house, which is where the money will all move to. Uh, the other thing is, people who were paying for SIPs by transferring money to GB, they grow balance. They will no longer be able to do that. most ideal way to pay for our SIPs is to set up an auto pay. I think some of our users also have a concern of the amount of auto pay when they're setting it up, which
True.
is sometimes shown as 1 lakh. That is a upper cap limit, which is maximum SIP amount that you're able to set up
To
with
set
that
up.
auto pay.
Correct.
But what gets debited from your bank account every month is exactly the SIP that you have set up, the amount that you've set up.
Got it.
Right.
Now, coming to questions, what would happen to the lump sum orders? What has changed for the lump sum orders that users are, placing on Grow?
So again, lump sum orders. One thing that has changed now, which can be visible, is earlier we used to have a mechanism of putting funds to a card and making a single payment. At this point on the app, we have removed the card, but for lump sum orders, again, Grow Balance is no longer usable for making a lump sum transaction payment. Right? So when you're placing an order, you will be taken to a payment gateway, which is either UPI or net banking can be used by you to make the payment for that lump sum order. The money will go directly to the BSE clearinghouse, and your order will get processed, and you will get allotted your units.
That's great. Now, coming to the redemption questions, we're getting questions on redemptions as well. So, how would the redemption play out in this scenario? What are the changes which are happening on the redemption front?
So, a recent change that has happened to the redemption flow is there is an OTP that has been added to the redemption flow now, right? So, when people are now redeeming their mutual funds, there is an OTP that is sent to the email and the mobile which was registered to that particular investment. And when the user enters this OTP, that is when the transactions are processed. So, that's on the user side, what has changed. On the processing side, when this order goes to the BSC and then the AMC, the amount of that redemption value comes from the AMC to BSC and BSC to the user's bank account directly. It no longer comes to Grow, and it can no longer become part of the Grow balance and be used for other transactions. It will go directly to the bank account that was selected at the time of redemption.
Okay, that's great. Now, the systematic transactions which are there, like SWP, STPs, what is the impact of this change on these systematic transactions?
So on the STPs, right? Again, similar to a redemption for STPs and SWPs, at the time of creating a new systematic transfer plan or a withdrawal plan, you have to authenticate using an OTP, and that's the only thing that has changed. Otherwise, once you've set up the SCP or SWP, the usual transactions on a monthly basis will continue to happen behind the scenes, and users don't have to do anything at their end.
Okay.
Right?
So we also have questions on which might not be related to this, but then it is regarding how do you import your funds, external funds to Grow. So if you can just uh, give a brief on that as well and answer for that.
Sure. So the process to track your external investments on Grow is very simple. On the mutual fund dashboard, there is an import funds option. It's also available on the MF Explore in the quick links section where there is an import funds option. Once you tap on that, there is a simple Google-based authentication that you have to do with the same email ID that is linked to your external investments, right? For once you've done that authentication, within a few hours, you will receive a CAS consolidated account statement on your email that is automatically synced with the Grow platform as well. And within a few hours, you'll be able to start looking at your external investments on Grow.
That's great. So there are questions wherein people are asking again the same. If we can repeat that, that amount got debited, but there was a delay in NAV allocation. So can you explain what exactly happened and reason maybe once more?
Sure. So earlier, the money for any investments that users were making on Grow platform would come to Grow. We would match the money with the orders and confirm to BSC that these orders should be processed. And as soon as that confirmation is received, the orders would go through. Since the 1st of July, this money is transferred directly to the exchange clearinghouse, where once received, they are matching every money received to an order, and based on that matching, the orders are being processed with the asset management company. Now, because this is a completely new process, there has been some hiccups, especially in the first week of July. Most of the transactions during that period have gone through certain delays. And because once money is received, there is a definite timeline within which these orders have to be processed. Most of the orders have gotten processed, but the ones that have not been processed are being refunded. And the BSC clearing team is working, relentlessly to actually quickly calculate these. And maybe within the next 1 or 2 working days, we are expecting all the refunds to reach the bank accounts of our users.
That's great. So there are questions on, that if we have added money to grow, then can we buy SIP or stock? So I believe if you can explain this once again.
If money is added
To
to
the grow
grow
balance,
balance,
correct.
that can only be used for stock investing. It can no longer be used for investing in a mutual fund, either in a one time or an SIP investment.
Okay. And can you also explain about the pay now feature and the auto mandate?
Right. So, because grow balance is no longer usable for mutual fund transactions, the ideal way to pay for your SIPs would be to set up an auto pay, which is a very easy process. On the app. You will get an easy journey where via net banking or debit card, you can actually set up an auto pay, and every month the SIP amount will get debited directly from your bank account, and you will get allotment. Uh, and just in case you have missed out, let's say the money hasn't gotten debited from your bank account, on the Grow app, we have given one functionality to go to the mutual fund dashboard, and your SIP installments are visible there. There you can make a payment for that particular installment also via UPI and net banking, just in case your autopay has gotten missed for that particular month or so.
Got
But
it.
best way is to set up this autopay for a longer term.
Great. So there are questions on, do we expect that there's going to be some kind of a delay in upcoming months also, or how this is getting streamlined? Can you just the initial delay that we have that happened? Uh,
Right. So I think in the last week, we've already seen a massive improvement in how these orders are being processed. Most of the orders in the recent last few days have gotten allotted as per how things used to be even before the 1st July changes. Right. So the orders are getting paid for, and they are getting allotted within 1 to 2 days, depending on the time of the payment and the order placement. So if you place an order, let's say after market hours, which is let's say after 2 o'clock, and you end up paying for an order, it's likely that it will get processed on the next day. But orders that are being paid for via UPI well within the working day hours, then they are getting allotment almost on the next order. Uh, they are getting the same NAV of the day in which they've placed the order, and these
got it.
transactions are already going through.
Got it. People are asking that what if they miss the SIP autopay due to insufficient balance? So how can they make for it?
Insufficient balance in their bank account.
That's right.
So at this point, we have given an option. Sometimes what happens is you may forget to keep balance in that particular account, and in case the transaction gets missed, if it's still the SIP date, you can come to the Grow app and you will be able to see that SIP installment with the payment showing as pending, and you can make a payment directly from the MF dashboard
Okay.
for those transactions.
We have another question, which is that that how would the redeem work? Would it come to the grow balance or would it go directly to the bank account?
Okay. So all the redemption orders, the money will go directly to the bank account of the investor, right? The money is no longer made available on the Grow balance. So any redemption order after being processed, the money will be transferred directly to the bank account of the user.
There are questions on what is the time duration of, after setting up an auto pay, and it getting approved. How much time would it take for the next installment to get deducted? Can you explain the entire process of the auto pay once again, and the time taken, and for the first or after the first or the second installment which gets paid.
Right. So since as soon as you place a new SIP order, the autopay journey immediately shows up on the app, right? So it is advisable to finish that autopay, setup right away, because the mandate approval can take, let's say, a few days. Maybe it could take 3 to 7 days almost, where
Seven
the
working
mandate
days.
gets approved. Some banks are faster, some may take a little longer, but because you've paid for an installment just at the time of setting up the SIP, it's likely that the next installment is at least 30 days away. So that gives us adequate time for the mandate to get approved, so that for the next installment, we can process the debit directly from your bank account.
Got it. There's one question, which is that if SIP payment is failed due to insufficient balance in the bank account, can we cover or get it done through the Grow balance on the same day?
So we cannot get it done through the Grow balance per se. So if you go to the Grow app, to the Grow balance section and add money, your installments will not go through. But if you go to the Grow app, go to the mutual fund section, through the SIP installment orders, the pending orders that are visible over there, you will be able to make a payment specifically for that installment. So you can no longer go to Grow balance and just add money there. You will have to go to the mutual fund dashboard and make a payment for that particular installment.
Got it. So there's one question which is related to product, which is that when can we expect SWP options and STP on the Grow app per se?
Okay. So the STP and SWP options are available on the Grow web platform. And our teams are already working towards providing these on the app as well. But at this point, you can still log into the web platform and place your STP, SWP orders. I think within the next month or two, we should have this on the app as well. The teams are already working on it.
Okay. There's a question regarding when would the money get deducted for the SIP orders now?
Okay. So earlier, the installment money for the SIP was getting debited 1 day prior to the SIP. Now, after the 1st of July, the SIP amounts are getting debited on the date of the SIP itself, right? So, on the day of the SIP, the money is debited from your bank account and the orders are processed.
So there are questions on international funds and when are they likely to get resumed, uh, is what a lot of people are asking.
Yeah, I think some of these transactions have already resumed. So I believe the true status reflects when you try to go and invest in that particular fund.
Right.
Most funds are already accepting investments. In the past few weeks, some of them which were actually suspended have already opened up.
Okay.
Right?
So there are questions that do we get dividends for our holdings in the mutual funds?
So dividend funds are like, so in most schemes there is a separate option to invest in a dividend generating format of that particular scheme, and these are also available on the Grow platform. As in, when you go to a product page of a fund, if you're really looking for the dividend option, there is a way to find more options from that same scheme and invest in a dividend option. And if you have invested in such an option, then the dividends come to your bank account from time to time. Right?
Okay. So I think these are mainly all the questions that we've received. Yeah, so that's it for now. As in, these are the questions that we have received. Any
If we've missed out any of the questions from the past, if you would probably just post it here, we'll probably take another minute
Sure,
and see if
sure.
there are any questions that we've sort of skipped. We'd be happy to answer. Uh, if it's too far in the timeline, I'd appreciate if you can just post it again now. Pratiksha, I'm very sorry, but if you could just post your question now, we'd be very happy to answer. There was a difference in SIP amount rejection and refund which I received in bank account. Whom to contact for this refund variation? Uh, so since refunds are still in progress, uh, some of the amounts that you have received right now and what you are about to receive totally should add up to the transaction value that has not been allotted, right? In some cases, partial value refund may have been received by you, but I request you to wait for a couple of days. If the refunds are completely processed and if you can match it to the amount that you were to receive, I think things should be fine. If not, you can raise a
It to
ticket
support.
through help and support, and we'd be happy to
Yeah.
answer that.
So there are due to the changes, does it is it going to affect the users in any ways? Is the question which is coming in.
Sorry.
So the recent changes which have happened, how is it going to impact users in any which ways? Is there any difference that they are going to see going forward?
No, as I mentioned, for purchase transactions, you will no longer be able to use the Grow balance. So you will make a transfer at the time of placing the order from your bank account through UPI or net banking. And only thing is, the money moves directly to the BSE clearing house, and from there on to the asset management company, and the units are allotted to the user. And in case of SIPs, similarly, at the time of placing the SIP order, you are going to make a payment via UPI or net banking for the order to get allotted. And for all the further installments of the SIP, it's best to set up an auto pay where the amount will get debited from your bank account every month on the date of the SIP, and then it will get allotted to you. What about refund? Order date 4th July, rejection showing on 18th July that rejected. So Pratisha, like we're saying, right? Since this process was completely new, and most of the transactions within the first, week of July took a lot of while to arrive at a final status. So some of them have been updated much later as rejected, where now the teams are working really hard to process the refunds, and we're hoping that in the next 1 or 2 days. And again, let me clarify that these monies are not coming to grow any longer, since these monies are going directly to the exchange clearing houses, and this is a new process for them. We are helping them, we're trying to work closely with them to expedite the process, but they are trying to calculate, arrive at the right amount, and we're hoping that in the next 1 or 2 working days max, they process all the refunds that are pending at this point.
Yeah, there are questions on a rejection of a particular mutual fund. So basically, you can write to support at the rate grow.in, and we can look into the specifics and answer the question pertaining to your particular transactions.
So let's learn has a question. I think there are questions about mandate.
Yeah, if you
Uh,
can just explain that process again, that would be great.
right. So the process of setting up an auto pay, as in some people call it mandate, some call it auto pay. The idea is to set up an instruction to allow debit from your bank account directly for your SIP installments. So you can do this authorization through debit card or net banking. There is generally an amount that shows up over there as 1 lakh. Some users are wary of this amount. This is just to clarify, this is the maximum SIP amount that you can do with such an auto pay, which means nothing close to 1 lakh will get debited from your bank account. Whatever SIP amount that you have created on Grow, exactly that amount will get debited from your bank account,
Got
and it will get transferred directly to the exchange clearing houses. And from there, your orders will get processed and the units will be allotted to you. So since Grow Balance is no longer available for our users to add money to for mutual fund transactions, the most advisable, as in it's best to set up an auto pay when you have an SIP running on Grow, so that the money is debited from your bank account directly. And there's nothing as in to worry about this particular process. It's a completely safe and secure process.
Okay. Can we redeem external funds? Is a question that we are getting from Grow.
Right. So external funds that have been tracked on Grow, like I said, redemption has had a change recently where a new OTP has been introduced at the time of placing a redemption order. Uh, Most redemption orders seem to be working fine on Grow, especially for investments where there has been at least some purchase in that external tracking even after starting to track them on Grow. But there are some cases where redemption initially OTPs weren't going because for external investments that are on Grow, the OTP is not being sent by the Grow team. The OTP for such external investments is being sent by the exchange themselves, right? So in some of those transactions we were facing certain issues, so we had stopped those transactions for a while. We have started those again now. So if you have an external investment that you're tracking on Grow, you will be able to place your order, but after placing your redemption order you will get an email or an SMS with a link to complete the authentication of that transaction for that redemption to go through, right?
Got it. There are questions on what is the same day NAV and can I get the same day NAV as I have auto debit?
Yeah. So now more than ever, if the SIP amount is getting debited from your bank account on the date of the SIP and the confirmation is received from the bank on time, then you get the same day's NAV, the NAV of the SIP date. Now, this happens for almost 98% of our transactions. But in some cases, banks do have delays where they may take a few hours extra to give us that confirmation, right? But because market hours are limited to a certain amount of time, in case that confirmation doesn't come to us within a stipulated amount of time, there is a chance that it gets delayed by 1 day. Now, this is something that is out of the control and it happens for very few cases, but it may happen. But in most likelihood, it will get allotment of the same days as the SIP date.
So these are the questions that we had, and there are some product feedbacks which are also coming in. Thanks for all the feedback that you're giving on different product options. We have taken a note of it, and we would come back to you in our product updates. Uh, can we open two SIPs in the same folio? Is a question that we're getting.
Right. Can we do two SIPs in the same folio? It should not really be a problem to do that.
Okay,
Uh,
and
are there any issues pertaining to
no,
SIPs in the same folio?
no.
Most likely, if you have an investment in that particular asset management company, it's likely that you will get the same folio while making new investments also.
Okay. So, people are asking that I want to withdraw the money from a fund. Will there be any problem in the redemption per se?
Okay. So there is no problem expected while doing any redemption. Nothing has changed. If not, the number of hops have been reduced and things could probably move much faster now. That's our expectation. So when you do a redemption, depending on the type of the fund, there are some funds where the redemption happens in 1 day. There are some funds where the redemption happens in 3 days. And when I say 1 or 3 days, these are working days. So if you place an order on a Monday and it's a 3 day settlement type of fund, then it's likely that you will get this money on a Thursday, right? So it takes Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for the money to reach your bank account. So while making an investment, it's good to know that most equity funds, right, where people make their investments, take 3 days for settlement, right? So when you do a redemption order on a Monday, you will get this on a Thursday. And if you redeem it on a Wednesday, it's likely that you'll wait till Monday for that money to come, right? Because of the lack of awareness, sometimes people think that these are delays, but this is completely normal, and this is the expected timeline for that redemption to get processed.
So I think that's all we had for the questions, as in all these questions. In case we have missed out on any questions, you can always write to us at support@grow.in, and we would be happy to answer all your queries there. Uh, s- Santosh, you want to say something?
Cool. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. I hope we were able to address some of the queries that you had. And if there's anything more, then please reach out to us over the help and support channel, and we'd be happy to help.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.